I guess we're live. Hello everyone who's watching this back, I suppose. Today we're going to be making some cover photo for Season 1, Episode 4, A Murder Mansion Mystery. Just kind of doodling, kind of seeing what we can come up with. Sorry, I'm so scatterbrained right now. We're going to do a word list to start it out, and we're just going to kind of go from there for what I would like to see in the final version, or maybe some things that we could leave out. Yeah, I'm just going to bump this opacity down.
Was lightning.
Alright, so that was the episode. Pretty goofy, I think. Recording it and listening to it back, editing it, it kind of creates this really captivating visual in my mind. So this is one of the cover arts that I really wanted to start with first, is just because I think the storytelling was so good. Not to pat our own backs, but it was one of our better episodes, and I think it really leaves there's good visual storytelling, I suppose, maybe. I mean, personally, I told the story, so I guess I could say this and that, and whatever, other people can have their opinions, but I think, in my mind, telling the story and listening to it back, it created this really mysterious, creepy environment where, you know, anything can happen. I guess that's one of my favorite things about the podcast is we're recording it improv without any script, so things just happen and we roll with it, and I think that makes for exciting storytelling, and I'm excited to try to contain all this chaos into a cover photo, and I guess contain's not the right word, but interpret or translate it into a visual picture is as much of a challenge as it seems. I think it'll be a really fun challenge, so with these words, I'm just going to kind of separate them out, probably on a new layer, and then I'm going to try to break down each category a little more. So, as an example, maybe Colonel Mustard Stain, whose character came from the Clue board game, so I'll try to think or even look up some pictures of what he looked like to get inspirations of, you know, the kind of clothing he has. I think typically he's I think he's usually portrayed with like a monocle, and I really don't know how to spell. So monocle, yep, something like that. Monocle, maybe? No idea. I think his shirt or his uniform is pretty iconic. And if I remember correctly, even in some visualizations of him, he's kind of like a big safari hunter, kind of like Theodore Roosevelt built kind of person. So just kind of using these collections of words to kind of refine what this one section could be, and then I'll just kind of do that for every one until I can't think of any more, and then hopefully that will give me a better idea of what I would like to make out of it, and maybe divert from what stereotypically that imagery could mean, or work alongside it. And I guess that's kind of just concept. So, oops, wrong thing. Oh jeez. Alright, so we've got the dinner table roughly there. Again, just doodling, not trying to get anything super serious done here, and this should be thinner. Really gonna have to nail down some perspective things here. So this leg is here. There has to be one somewhere down here. I don't really see it exactly through everything. I gotta imagine it's somewhere about there though. It's gonna be a little smaller than this one over here because it is further away in the perspective. Whatever, it's got all these legs, looks very nice, fancy fancy. And then if we use this perspective, I like the back wall here. This would be 2-point perspective. That might not be correct. Oh man. Somewhere in the abouts. And ceiling there. And this is really nice. I like this chandelier being right there, right above the table. And I think how I would change this is change this to a window, and I think this will be our viewing spot for the mountains. Cthulhu will be somewhere back there. Cthulhu's so mad he wasn't invited to this party. Maybe throw in the moon just in this corner. He's kind of peeking in here, just kind of seeing what everything's about. It looks like a little face. He's like, oh my god, what's happening? This is actually an excellent picture, or an excellent picture, yes, but as I was talking about earlier, it's pretty blurry, but as the distance increases from the viewer, things become less saturated and more atmosphere is between you and the far distance, so they desaturate and become lighter in color, versus these trees in the front row are have high contrast and are dark and saturated, if that makes sense. Basically just gray everything out. And then I'm going to try to choose what are some of the most important aspects of this piece. So right now, as it stands, the brightest objects in this frame are probably going to be the energy shooting from the book and hitting, I'll get a lighter color, make that more obvious. This energy spout that is hitting the spirit is probably going to be pretty bright, you know, like a bolt of lightning or something. Because it's otherworldly, spooky. And then, you know, maybe the book itself is glowing or something from all the energy that is being casted from it. And then I'm going to want the moon very bright as well. Because it's the moon in the night sky. Right on it. Alright. And now I'll switch to what are my absolute brightest things in this picture. And I will turn them completely white, 100%. So I think kind of illuminating straight from the book. That should be super bright. And I'm not exactly sure how high up I want that to be. Then the book itself would be pretty bright. I don't think. Well, maybe the sides of the pages I can get away with dimming them a little bit, because then it's only like the front pages facing upward that are like emitting that source. But then definitely some fall off around the edges here. I'm not sure exactly how you would demonstrate that. Or, well, again, thinking about it way too much. It'd be something like that, and it would be behind the well of power as well, and maybe even touching the ledge of the table there. And that would be kind of centralized where that energy is coming from. And then up here, maybe make the ghost super bright as well, because he's absorbing or interacting somehow with that energy. And then I can put a really small one here for the lamp. I haven't drawn it yet, so it looks a little weird, but the lamp that's actually emitting onto Colonel Mustard Stain's outfit, uniform, whatever, and maybe a super bright highlight on the frame itself. And probably the moon again. I love a big bright moon. Needs to be above. So we'll go halftone shadows. Where are the darkest parts of this image? And I think this back room here definitely is going to be dark. I don't have a light source back there. I could definitely put one, but I'm going to choose not to for now. That definitely absolutely could change. But for now, we'll just turn the whole thing dark. And I think I should be able to paint bucket fill that. Yep. Save myself some time there. Alright. So that's gonna be a dark spot. I'm gonna say most of the corners of the room are gonna be really dark. There's not going to be a whole lot of light here, and I would argue this entire wall is probably going to be pretty dark, with the exception of where the book and the ghost are casting light. So I might have a lighter ring around the break here, where the Kool-Aid Man made the hole. Just because the ghost and the book are illuminating so much light that it is casting a bit of light on the walls there. I'm discussing, but see now, just looking at this, taking a step back, you can obviously tell the outside from this interior wall on this side. However, on this side, it almost looks like it's just flat. If we didn't have these, crack lines, whatever you want to call them, the bursting kind of wow pow bang comic style hole, you probably would think that this and this are a part of the same wall. There's a little face for you. He's a little disappointed. That's okay. So what I can do to push the two apart, and same with this doorway right here, I can use highlights to emphasize where those edges are on this wall. And I can also go back and make this other room darker, so that that's obviously sloppy, but it would increase the contrast between the two, so visually looking at it, your eyes can differentiate the two surfaces, I guess. Alright. I like the darkness to it. It really pushes those highlights really bright. And I feel like this night sky is gonna have to be super dark as well. I almost wonder if back here, what if instead of highlighting the mountains themselves, it was more of like, shoot. Like their shape was kind of just brought out. And then I think that'd be kind of cool to have, you know, this really thin strip of almost like a highlight, and then it just stops right where Cthulhu is, and maybe that will bring the eye of the viewer to him, because if you have something consistent throughout this entire background, as soon as that stops or changes, you would think that's where your eye would go. I would think. I'm sure there's like a specific term for that, but I'm not sure what it would be. I guess that's kind of like repetition, or I'm not sure what else. Because yeah, when you zoom back, you can kind of see. I'll zoom in. Screen's gonna freak out a little bit there. But yeah, I think from looking at it, you know, you have your entire mountain range that is emphasized by that kind of brightness behind it. So once it breaks right where Cthulhu is, I would think your eye is kind of drawn to that, because it's, you know, breaking away from the mold, or breaking that repetition, or the familiarity that you get from every other mountain peak has that. So why, what is here that is breaking that? At least that's kind of my thought process into it. Alright, I reckon I'll leave it there. Got most of the elements that I was hoping to put in there. The composition, I think I'm satisfied with. Next time I stream or end up working on this, I'll be going back, adding smaller details, refining what I have now, probably changing things a lot. You can see I've written Zombie by Will Smith, because this could possibly be interpreted as Will Smith moonwalking in the moonlight. However, in the story, it is zombie Will Smith moonwalking in the moonlight. So I'm going to try to maybe gore him up a little bit, probably put some glass shards in him, like he had just walked through a broken window or something, or broke a window, and try to zombify him a little bit. Add more details. I've got, I think, about the right kind of lighting that I want. At least in the places that I want. I'll edit this down so that people don't have to watch a 5.5 hour stream, but in the future I would like to leave the full unedited stream up quite a while, so thank you all for watching. I appreciate y'all. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, obviously here on YouTube. And check out the actual pod, questionable sanity on Spotify, RSS, anywhere you find your podcasts. So thank you all for watching, and